Hey everybody, go Cappy here, and not a video request. This is going to be an original, and I made an announcement before, but in case you didn't know, just some house maintenance. I have put together a playlist that has all the Cap originals, not video requests originals. So if you want to just go to the originals, like you don't like the video requests or whatever, just click on playlist. It'll say Aaron's originals or something. Say some originals. And you just click on that, and that way you could skip right there. But yeah, certainly take a look at the video request. We're going to talk about a very simple but a very important economic lesson. And this is not just for those of the left who wish to learn about economics, but people on the right, because I think it's so simple people don't flush it through, and therefore, since they don't understand it at the atomic level, they do not realize the ramifications in terms of the real world when you violate this kind of law or principle of economics, and that is private property. Now everyone kind of knows what private property, okay, this is mine. This is my Sergeant Rumpy Fluffalo. And, this is my highlighter, my Springfield XD9. Are you carrying it without a... Yes, I am. Just that's the way the clothes work in my wardrobe. But you have the concept of mine. You have the concept of private property. This is mine. This is my stapler. Well, what makes it yours? Why is that private property? And you got to sit down and think a little bit. And what you'll inevitably realize is, well, the way you get private property, the way you own things is through what? Through buying it with your own money. Well, that's all fine and well. You say, well, I earned that. I paid for that. Well, how did you earn it? How did you pay for it? And you realize that in order to pay for this stapler, Sergeant Rumpy Fluffalo, a pistol, is that you had to give up your time to get money. This is a very important fundamental lesson of economics, that there really is no such thing as money. All money is a numerical representation and an accounting of other people's time. I gave my employer some time. That employer in exchange gave me some money. This money now allows me to go and buy somebody else's time to make a stapler for me, or a highlighter, or my sunglasses, etc., etc. So you realize that the entire economy that we have is not really money, it is human time that is the atomic level, the bits and the bytes that make up this entire world economy. Now, when you give up your time, this is the only resource anybody has, is time. Where you're going to die, I'm going to die. We all roughly have about 77, 78 years, 85 if you're a woman, because you drive us men into the grave early. Some women have a little bit more. But in the general scheme of things, we all have about 80 years of time, and that's the only resource. And what do we do with that time? Now, we have to maintain ourselves, we have to support ourselves, we have to feed ourselves, clothe ourselves, house ourselves, unless you're a Democrat and you vote for Obama. Anyway, that's what your time is used for, is to maintain, enhance, extend, and improve your life. So not only do you maintain it, eat, and support yourself, but then you go have fun, you live life, you go travel, you bike, you do whatever it is that you like to do, and then you die. So to own things, you have to forfeit part of your time, because it's not like, oh, everything should be for free. Fuck you, you're such an idiot. You're such a dumb, communist, idiotic child. You don't understand this. Well, why should it be free? You're essentially asking other people to give up their time and then just give you the products they made for shits and giggles, for nothing in return. That's why it's exchange. That's why it's commerce. That's why you have to forfeit part of your time to get money to buy things that other people will produce for you. That's the whole concept of an economy. So what private property really is your life. Right? Yes, this is a stapler. I know this is a stapler, but it was, I don't know, it's a nice stapler, very sturdy, very metal. It's a good, it will last a nuclear blast. Nuclear-proof stapler. Swing line. Anyway, yes, it is a stapler, but I had to forfeit, I don't know, maybe an hour of my time back in the day to afford it. That's my time. My life went into this stapler, right? It's mine, not yours. Now, where the concept of private property gets violated, or we start to ignore this rule that this is mine, it's my property, it's my life, is when we start thinking that we're entitled to other people's time and other people's lives. And how does this happen? It happens in taxation. Now, taxation is a little bit interesting, because you say, well, wait, how would we have a government? How would we have this, how would we have roads and all this other stuff without government? I mean, is it taxation necessary? Yes, it is. But there's a a difference between. Now, if you look at the budget, state or federal, you're going to see things that are what are called universal goods or public goods, and then things that are not. And now you say, well, what's a universal good or a public good? A universal good or a public good, if you want the boring economic definition, is where my consumption of the item does not prohibit you from consuming it. And you say, well, huh? For example, right now, defense. All right? I am consuming, part of my taxes go to pay for defense. I am technically consuming defense because the F-16s and the USS carriers and all that other stuff are protecting me and the homeland. But in me consuming that does not prohibit you from consuming it. So here, this is my stapler. I'm using it. You cannot. I'm precluding you from using that. So that's not a public good. But the roads, I drive on the roads. If I'm on the road, does no one else have the right to? Am I prohibiting everybody else from using it? No. So that's a public good. So one's consumption of it does not preclude others from using it. But then there are the other half of the budget, state, federal, and local, and that is income transfers. Right? So we have our public goods, our universal goods, like police. Again, I can't prevent you from benefiting from the police. Roads, defense, regulation, stuff like that. We all benefit from it. But what about income transfer? What's an income transfer? An income transfer is basically welfare. It's Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, TANF, SNAP, WIC, EBT, all the money, all those programs where we basically take other people's money and give it to other people. That is not a public or universal good. Right? It is an income transfer. Now you've taken my money. That would have gone to defense, roads, something else that I would have benefited from. And now it goes to you. And now you have my money, and you get to spend it on your own stapler. However, you didn't earn that money. That was my money. Not only my money, that was my time. That was my life that you just took away. Albeit, $10 worth, but you multiply it times the 150 million people who are lazy parasite scum in the country who are collecting a government check, and this adds up to a significant amount of money. So much so, in fact, that if you look at the budget at the state, federal, and local level, 70% of the budgets, roughly, depends on where you are, but at the federal level, definitely 70%. But on average, 70% of government's money, of the budget, goes to income transfers. Now, when you sit and think this through, this is not opinion. This is not right-wing, loudmouth dude on internet yelling. This is a fact. When you think about income transfers, what is that? Where somebody works for you and they get nothing in return. That's called slavery. Right? There's no doubt about it. Now, I've done some estimations and calculations in my book, Bachelor Pad Economics. You can expect to be somebody else's slave for 14 years, depending on your income level and all that. But the average person pays money into the system, only 30% of which they see an actual return on in the terms of public goods, so that's not slavery. 70% of it goes to somebody else to support basically the losers of society. I know there's some people who had genuine bad luck, but the vast majority of you who are collecting a government check are fucking losers. Shut up. I'm sick and tired of fucking paying for your parasitic asses. And on top of it, we have every right to be fucking pissed off because it's slavery. So you can expect 14 years, not like, I work 14 years and I get to keep the majority of my money. No, if you work a 50-year career on average, 14 of those years, all of it is being somebody's bitch. Well, communal bitch, because it's spread across the 150 million people we have as parasites in this country. Right? So that's not opinion, that's not hyperbole or rhetoric. It's true. I mean, it might be off a year or two, but you're definitely spending more than a decade being somebody's bitch, being a slave. Now, I don't know about you, but that's a violation of human rights. Not one penny of my time should go to somebody else. I'll decide personally if I want to donate to charity, and if there wasn't such a huge state, if 70% of the budgets, federal and local, went to helping out, quote, the poor, then people should and would donate to charity. But right now, forget it's beyond charity. This is vote bribing. This is vote getting. You bribe people. I'll give you money. You vote for me. Of which is largely the Democrats, and then some Republicans as well. I'll admit it there too. But neither here nor there, it does not change the basic economic fact, the basic economic principle, the basic economic reality, that income transfers forces other people to be slaves. That is a fact. That is reality. Okay? Now, what are the consequences of violating this private property? Say, well, that really isn't yours. Well, I know you worked for it, I know you paid for it, but this stapler really isn't yours. Sergeant Rumpy Fluffalo really isn't yours. That money in your wallet really isn't yours. You know, about 40% of it, or again, depending on where you live, anywhere between 20 to 60% of it, that's other people's money, not yours. But what happens when you start telling someone, especially the rich people, who sometimes are a slave almost 70% of their life, especially if you go to Sweden or Finland or whatever, well, what happens? Well, a couple things happen. It is basic human nature not to want to be a slave. And so what people will do, a couple consequences occur because you're essentially making people be a slave. One, they'll work less. They say, wait a minute, whoa. I have to give up my time to go and earn the money to get a stapler or a highlighter. Can I get by without this stapler? Can I get by without this highlighter? Matter of fact, there's so much government money being pissed away on people who don't want to work. What if I were just to go on the government dole? I think I'm going to work less. Now, if people start working less, that means there's less goods and services being produced. And that means there's less economic growth. So people will work less to lower their taxes, get in a lower income tax bracket, or just not work at all and just collect government money. And more people can do this, especially single men, especially single childless men. We can do this all freaking day. We can get by on very little. I know there are limitations to how much you could collect in terms of welfare and all that. But you can get by. It's an art form. A lot of people know how to work the system. And what was it? Someone called into Rush Limbaugh's show, and the woman was like at least honest about it. She's like, oh yeah, we do this. We go to this county, then we go to that state, and you can work the system. You could claim this. You could claim that. And they don't have to work a day in their lives. So the more and more you tax people, and they don't get anything in return, it just goes to some fucking parasite who made bad decisions and expects the world to bail them out, the less incentive people will have to work. Right? Next thing is going to be less investment. Right? The whole point of investing is to make money. I have $1,000, I'm going to invest it in something. I will hope to get $1,100 out of it or $1,200 out of it. People don't invest for shits and giggles. A lot of people, we need to invest. Why won't corporations invest? Because if I invest that money and I don't make any money off of it, well, I'd rather go piss it away and spend it on booze and hookers. Really, seriously. So if I'm going to invest, I'm going to start a company, I'm going to invest in a company, whatever, I'm going to expect a rate of return. But if you're going to tax it, because we not just tax humans, we tax corporations, corporate income tax, investors are saying, well, why the fuck would I set up shop here? And so you start to see this happening already. Locally here, Medtronic, they moved out to Ireland. They moved out of Minnesota in the United States, so they don't have to pay those corporate taxes anymore. Google does the same thing. Apple, you know all those leftist, touchy-feely socialist corporations? You're all, they're great corporate, social, responsible citizens. Like great corporate citizens. Yeah, they're over in Ireland and the Caymans. They're not paying your taxes. So they won't invest here. And then what happens without investment? Oh, there's no jobs. And then this creates a vicious cycle where ever more people go on welfare, taxes got to go up, taxes further deter, more investment, less jobs, more people on the government dole, more taxes. It just keeps getting worse and worse and worse. So then this leads to a third thing, which is what you may have already noticed. That's called capital flight. Where people are like, not only do I not want to invest in the United States, I'm afraid you guys are going to tax what I have. And now I'm going to move my capital, meaning money, my stuff, my stapler, my Sergeant Rumpy Fluffalo, but probably more importantly, this stuff, I'm going to move, well, not pennies, I'm going to move my money out of the country, or I'm going to bury it somewhere. It's just getting out, it's leaving, it's flight, it's gone. So I can keep it somewhere because I'm afraid you're going to come after it and try and tax it and try and take it. Right? And then you really got problems because now nobody has any money to even spend in the U.S. economy or your local economy, depends on where you live. So now you have no investment, you have less people working, there's not that many goods to buy, and if you think this is poppycock, you think this is bullshit, why don't you go look at Venezuela, see what happened? Okay? Why don't you go look at Zimbabwe? Right? This shit happened. Look at what happened to East Germany. This has happened in history. I know. You're all too damn lazy to read history, so you're doomed to repeat it. Plus, it's the right thing. You advocate what your teachers and your socialist professors told you to advocate. That's, by golly, we gotta tax those mean, nasty rich people, especially if they're white males and especially if they're straight. By gum. Well, neither here nor there. Obviously, Venezuela, not white males, Hispanic males down there. Doesn't matter what the race or the gender, your sexual preference is. You tax the productive people, they fucking leave. So if you're going to try to enslave all these evil rich people, they have a tendency to leave. They don't invest, money moves out of the country, and that country starts to suffer. Just look at Venezuela. Right? The final thing, though, but ultimately what it all adds up to is lower economic growth and lower standards of living for everybody. Right? I know this really pisses off the lower half of society, or the poorer half of society, or the lazier half of society, or whatever, the 99%, not the 1%ers. You need fucking rich people. And not only do you need rich people, you could do without the Bushes. I understand. You could do without the Rockefellers and the Mark Daytons of the world. I understand you could do without the trust fund babies. But where would you be without Bill Gates and Steve Jobs? Where would you be without Edison? Where would you be without all these people who made and created all these great things that have benefited society? If you just scare them away and say, God, fuck no, we're not going to invest over there. You know what the tax is? If we get successful, do you know what's going to happen? Did that Facebook guy go and become a resident of Singapore? Right? It doesn't just hurt the rich people. They'll go. They'll leave. It's going to hurt you and me and every other normal schmuck on this country, and on this planet or this country. Right? When the rich and productive people, the innovators, the creators, say, I'm not investing anymore, I'm not spending money here, I'm not creating anything here anymore, and they leave, what happens to standards of living? We all lose out. Because, see, true wealth and true riches do not come from money. That's not what it comes from. It comes from the stuff we buy. Sergeant Rumpy Fluffalo, he's a good luck charm, keeps me company on my motorcycle rides. This, albeit minorly, helps me with my business when I got to staple things. This technology has saved me thousands of dollars where I can get work done while I'm on the toilet, or having somebody else drive, I can do my little internet thing there. That is what improves standards of living, not just having more money. So this presents a question that everyone has to ask themselves. What kind of economy do you want? Do you want an economy that just does not grow because we've basically scared away all investment, we've scared away all incentive for people to try harder, be better, of which case there will be disparities, there will be inequality in people's incomes, but the technological advances and innovations are so not only amazing, but numerous, that everybody increases their standards of living. Again, this cell phone does not just benefit white males. This benefits everybody. This has improved everybody's standards of living. Right? You cannot prevent technology from falling in the hands of any one group of people. Right? So even though Steve Jobs has made billions, although he's dead now, and Bill Gates has made billions, they have increased our standards of living, improved our lives dramatically. Right? Or do you want a life where everybody is equal, where we confiscate money from everybody, and we give it and we disseminate it equally like the communists do? We make things fair. Well, that's fair. It's very, very fair. It's unfair you have $3 more than me, and he has $3 less than me. We should all just have the same amount as me. Well, then what's the incentive to produce? What's the incentive to innovate or create or be productive or advance society? There is none. That's why North Korea is a shithole. That's why Venezuela is a shithole. That's why the Soviet Union was a shithole. That's why East Germany was a shithole. That's why every fucking socialist communist nation in the history of the fucking world has been a shithole. Or has been constantly bailed out or needs oil, like in the case of Norway and Sweden and Finland. Or do you want it where, yeah, there's some really super rich motherfuckers, and they make trillions of dollars more than me, but you know what? I got my electricity really cheap, we got nuclear power, we got solar, whatever. We got all these technological advances. And yes, I may be in the bottom 5% of income earners in these here United States or this country. But I'm richer than any other place. I'm richer than the richest over in North Korea. I'm richer than the richest over in Italy. What do you want? What do you prefer? See, it's really what it boils down to is envy and ego. You can't just be happy with a PlayStation 4 and big screen TVs and vaccinations and a life of relative luxury. I mean, really, you go back 300 years ago, the poorest people we have today are richer than the richest people 300 years ago. But if you're always constantly obsessed with people who have more than you, instead of just saying, wow, this is a pretty cool life we got here, look at this, I can sleep, we got heat, clothing, shelter, we got food, got vaccinations, everything, we got all this wonderful entertainment. If you're more obsessed with other people's money that is not yours, but you're going to vote for politicians who are going to come in there and enslave those people, well, don't be surprised when they leave. And when they leave, don't be surprised when there's no jobs and then investment goes away and then there's underemployment and unemployment. And don't be surprised when the innovations and technologies happen to go away. It's simple, but it requires a couple brain cells of adult maturity to realize that envy and greed ruins it for everybody else. If you just let people, just imagine if we got rid of corporate taxes, imagine if you got rid of income taxes where we punish the rich, we just had a flat tax, and we say we want all the rich people in the world to come and invest here, we want everyone to come here and innovate and create stuff. Do you really care if after like 10 years of booming economic growth and amazing technological advances that would make it seem like aliens that come in here with super advanced technology and made everyone's lives better, do you really think you'd care if you're in the bottom 5%? Oh, but that evil, whatever, white cisgendered male over there, he's got more than me and he didn't earn it. I deserve some of that money. Right, okay, see what happens, right? Anyway, that's the important lesson about private property. That's why you can't violate it. The key to success, and we knew this, our founding fathers knew this, they figured it out. The key to advancing human society and humanity is to let them be free and keep the vast majority of their money. It's not hard, it's not difficult. But if you want to enslave people, you want to, be it on a plantation or through the government, it doesn't really matter. One group, you got to stay on the plantation. The other group, you can do whatever you want. You just better pay us, otherwise you're throwing you in jail. It's up to you. Which one do you want? Free society or slave society? Because history has proven the free society does better. And it does better for everybody. But that's for you to decide. So we either respect private property rights, endorse private property rights, and advocate private property, and defend private property rights, or violate them, tell everyone they're a slave to some extent or another, and then see what happens. Anyway, best of luck to you all. Toodles.